Hello there and welcome back. What we're going to do in this video is graph a transformed cosine curve based on naturally this is a graph of y equals cosine x. So we're going to apply transformations one by one to investigate how they change the graph so we can actually see this in real time. So I purposely left the horizontal axis as integers rather than multiples of pi, just because of one of the transformations we're going to make with this graph. So I wanted to kind of be prepared for the future here. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to change the equation up here, and then we'll see. I'm going to let you take a moment and think about what's going to happen to the graph. So let's say I want to multiply cosine by -2. So my coefficient of the cosine term is now -2. Take a moment to think about it. Okay. And remember that multiplying by simply 2 is going to be a vertical stretch of the graph. So keep your eye on the maximum and minimum points here. I'm actually just going to mark them down. They'll go away as soon as I type in the 2. Actually, that just went away there. So there's 2 cosine x. So everything stretched vertically by a factor of 2. The minimum point is at the minimum value is -2. The maximum value is at +2. And now I'm going to put a negative in front of the 2 to match. And hopefully you guessed that it stretches by a factor of 2 and reflects over the x-axis. So now instead of starting at the maximum point, well, the y-intercept being the maximum point rather, the y-intercept is now the minimum point. Okay, so let's change the coefficient of x to a number, let's say pi. So take a moment to think about what that will do to the graph. If you want to pause the video, you may. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put the pi in front of x here. Whoops. And hopefully you guessed that it changes the period by a factor of pi. Now, since the multiplier of x, or coefficient of x, is greater than 1, it's a horizontal compression. We're getting a lot more periods in a specific interval. So remember that the period is 2 pi divided by the number in front of x. So 2 pi divided by pi is 2. And as you can see, these maximum points are indeed 2 units apart. So far, this is what the graph looks like after applying a reflection, a vertical stretch, and a horizontal compression. Now, last transformation we'll do, I'm going to add 6 to the function. Based on what you know, what happens when you add 6 to the function? What does it do to the graph? Hopefully you answered that it goes up 6 units. So I'm going to go ahead and apply that to the graph. And sure enough, there it is. The min and max were at -2 and +2. Adding 6 to each, our minimum value is now at 4, and our maximum value is now at 8. So that is a step-by-step look at how the different parts of the transformed cosine curve affect what happens to the graph.